Hello, everyone. Welcome to our webinar on how to reduce Selenium script maintenance up to 90%. Again, we have had some time to settle in, and now we will get started. Allow me to provide a quick introduction. My name is Tran. I am a part of the Katalon account management team, and joining me today is my solutions engineer, Avinash. Avinash, do you want to say hi?
Hello, everyone. Hope you're doing good. Let's get started, May. From an experience perspective, I have overall 15 years experience in test automation. I've graduated in 2005, and throughout my career, I've been in software testing, so test automation. That's about me. I am working with Katalon Studio as a solution consultant, solution engineering. I help out with the pre-sales. I also offer some solutions for our prospective clients as well.
Very nice.
Welcome, everyone.
Once again, we are very happy to see everyone here, and let's jump right into it.
I see there are a lot of people all over the world, people
Yes.
from Thailand, South Africa. That's nice to have. And to be honest, this is my very first webinar like this. Hopefully it will go well.
It will go well, Avinash. I have full and complete faith in you. Okay.
Thank you.
Yes. So as everybody on the call is already aware, right now test maintenance is a very integral part of test automation. It is important for us to consider that test maintenance will continuously take time, as there are always changes to code, to your framework, to your integration workflow, and to other components of your application. The time-consuming nature of test maintenance will remain an issue, as it can and it will kill the ROI of test automation efforts within your organization. One example, very basic example, is that if a set of 10,000 test cases has a 5% test fail rate, then it would mean to have your team go through 500 tests to make sure that it will be fixed, and then it will be up to date with your current processes. Another example we have is that it is also a very common issue with a lot of our incoming clients, is that due to many factors, be it the lack of experience within the team or the lack of tools within the team, a lot of our clients and their testers would spend a rough estimated 60% of their time just to make sure that their tests are up to date, and this will in turn create more delays within their release cycles and their business deliverables. Right now, what we know is that for a lot of beginners, maintenance efforts will take place in two different processes: the actual creation of the testing framework and the process of test authoring. And further complication will continue to arise as we add more team members into the testing team. Avinash, do you want to share a few insights onto some of the common challenges that the team can run into so far?
First and foremost is you have to get started with test automation. And most of the users, at least from the state of the, there's a paper which is released, most of the users are using Selenium as their test automation framework. So when you say maintenance, it not only depends on the maintenance of the script, it also depends, a lot depends on how your framework is built. And over a period of time, as your test scales, you would want to have a library, you would want to have a framework which deals with all different parts like cross-browser testing, complexity in managing various system information, data management, so on and so forth. So it becomes quite challenge. If you had asked me, I'm actually from an open source background. If you had asked me about a year ago about how are you doing it, would you go for a commercial tool or would you stick with Selenium? I would answer. I'd say I'll stick with Selenium. But then again, that has its own pain points. As in when your Selenium comes with its own set of challenges. You need to know how to build a framework, how to deal with your objects. So if you ask me now, I would say, okay, there are some solutions in place which can make your life a lot easier. For that, of course, you have to pay a little bit of premium. but that would basically make your life a lot easier. Maintenance of these scripts, it can reduce over 60% from what I've seen. And as it scales, your ROI basically keeps increasing in a commercial tool, so to say.
Okay. So right now, what we do know is that the majority of our beginner users, people that are new to test automation in general, they will start out with Selenium with their test automation efforts. But the thing about starting out with Selenium is that you will need to have some sort of background within programming. And but then again, that will still won't prevent you from running into some of the more common challenges with Selenium test creation and test maintenance. Avinash, do you want to get started?
That's correct. As you said, a few of the things which might fail. Okay, let's say you have your test case in Selenium or any other test automation framework for that matter. Take an example of Cypress, or let's say you build your own framework using open source libraries, which includes WebDriver IO and other things which are in the market. Things tend to still fail. Let's say there's a small amount of changes. Let's say you're having a home page, and from the home page you're navigating to different sub pages, and your home page has changed. What I have noticed is all your test cases would fail. Probably apart from the login, all your other test cases would tend to fail. And to fix this, you need to go debug your environment, go have a look at the logs. Someone who has like a really good experience in Selenium would be able to do this. But for a novice test automation user, looking into such issues like web loading issues, dealing with implicit or explicit waits, and dynamic elements which are available on your screen. Say, for example, you have an account number field that won't be static. It will be dynamic. It might change, and also the developers tend to keep changing the the whole platform, and wouldn't keep the test team involved. So there are a lot of these changes which are affecting your Selenium tests, which might fail. There are again cases like pop-ups which are coming up. You have to deal with iframes and so on and so forth. There are quite a lot of challenges when you test with Selenium. So as I said, some of the things which will basically fail is changing in the locators, your broken images, or even let's say you're not able to log into an application. In such cases, it'll be quite difficult for you to even debug. And I mean, I'm not saying it's really easy for an experienced QA engineer who has 6 to 8 years of experience should be able to figure this out pretty quickly. But then again, what's happening is your pipeline has failed, and you need to go make these changes, check in, and wait for another couple of hours for you to run your tests and get the results, which is basically time consuming, and you wouldn't get ROI, so to say. When I say ROI, it's like time and money spent on maintaining these scripts will not basically give you the returns which you expect. Yeah, again, I spoke about iframe and pop-ups. These are some of the examples which might basically, change, and your test cases would fail over a period of time. All right, Katalon Studio, just a brief introduction. Katalon Studio is basically a low-code test automation solution for novice users as well as advanced user. If you are an advanced user, you can actually leverage Katalon Studio to its full potential. But it also, let's say, for someone who is starting out as a test engineer and would want to learn the trade, Katalon Studio and other commercial tools might offer good solutions in place. And when I say commercial tools, there are again a lot of commercial tools which are available in the market, starting from UFT, and there's Test Complete, there's Eggplant, there's so there are thousands and thousands of commercial automation tools. But Katalon Studio fits right in between Selenium and these commercial tools. That's why the cost of Katalon Studio is not as expensive as other frameworks. Katalon Studio is basically built on Selenium, so you'll be able to use all the libraries which are created in Selenium. And on top of that, you don't have to kind of maintain these libraries, so to say. If you're working on the Selenium framework, you would constantly need to update your libraries for your reports, for your other things which you are using for data management and other things. But Katalon Studio provides a platform, so you don't have to worry about these version changes and test generation, test execution, and end-to-end test management. So yeah, go ahead, May. You want to add something here? So some of the features of test automation frameworks, commercial test automation frameworks, I believe these features are available in most of the frameworks which are available in the market. When some of the features is like self-healing, let's say something has changed in your application, as I said before. Let's say your home page has changed. In that case, self-healing feature would ideally go ahead and continue your test execution. But if you're writing a Selenium framework, you need to write a whole lot of logic to accomplish this, which might not be possible for an inexperienced or a novice test automation engineer. So that is a nice thing to have. There's again smart weights where the test automation framework itself handles the page load and other things. There's debugging options. There are retrying your failed test case options. Let's say for some reason your test case has failed in the first run, you can have it executed later at a later point of time. If for to do all this in Selenium, you need to build your own library, you need to build your own reporting, you need to build your own intelligence. And for debugging, it's again pretty painful if you're working on an IDE like Eclipse or Visual Studio Code. That might be pretty painful to debug and run these test cases again. And last but not least, reusable test artifacts. One of the best practices a team can have is to reuse these scripts across different platforms or across different projects or in the same project. Let's say you can build some kind of a keyword on your own and use them in your test case so that it will be easy for test management and even maintenance.
And it's time for our demonstration. Do you want me to start sharing the screen now?
Yes, and if at all audience has any questions, probably they can drop it down in the chat. We'll try to answer them.
Yes, absolutely.
All right. As I said, I'm a hardcore test automation engineer. I came from an open source background. So for anyone who is, aware of how to do frameworks, I basically used to enjoy doing this. A lot of code is there, a lot of code is involved, a lot of libraries are involved. So what I'm sharing now is a sample project which I've created. It's in a form of BDD. There's a Miro sign up page where I've written the test case in English, like given, when, and then. I've integrated this with another framework called as Cucumber, and for the reporting, there's another another library called as Allure Report. So I'm using all these different libraries, and they're always susceptible to upgradation. So this is what I'm saying about maintenance. And also when I look at how you design your test cases, you're basically creating something called as a page object model, which basically has all your definition where you're giving the locators, the XPaths, the attributes, and stuff like that. And these things are susceptible to change. So anyone who's working on a DOM object would know to find the password, you need to enter this XPath or the ID. So different ways of doing this. Let's say tomorrow this has failed. This has changed. Instead of password, they would have changed it to PWD. In that case, the whole test case might fail. So let me just show you a happy path. I'll just run this test framework, which will basically run few test cases. It will try to sign up. So it's just a simple thing which I've done. And the same thing I'd like to show in Katalon Studio as well. So this is just opening the page, checking for the elements, entering all the required things. And once your tests are done, there's also, I have written a library which will create a report and show the screenshot and other things as well. So you see this has passed. And what I'll do right now is open the report again. When I run the report, it will basically open an Allure report, which looks something like this. And you see, it will show, okay, what exactly happened in those scenarios. And ideally, what I did was I wanted to get a screenshot of each step, but the library is outdated, and right now it's not supporting that. So this is what I was talking about. And I'll also give you, let's say, this has changed. I'll just take an example of. I'll just change this to old. And when I run this test case right now, this will fail because it won't be able to find this password element. Oh, sorry, I'm running the report again. Run test. So this will open the page and it will try to find your password field. Then it will start failing. See, it's not able to find this, and it'll start throwing all kind of errors, and you would basically have to go dig deep into the steps and see, okay, why is this not failing? I've already written the step definition. I'll have to get into verify if element exists. I don't know what element it is, so I'll have to write all these. For debugging, I have to write console.log and other things. So this will become a major issue if you are having thousands and thousands of test cases. So as of now, I have like 4 to 5 test cases, which will run in like 30 seconds, ideally. But when you see this, you'll basically feel as a QA engineer a little demoralized if you're not able to figure out why it's not running. So I'll open the report again. Now you can see, okay, it has failed. I want to go see what happened. So here there's a screenshot also available. So I've done all this, and let's say the screenshot library changes tomorrow, I'll have to redo the entire thing again. So this is a simple framework which I've developed, and the same thing I would like to show with Katalon Studio. Katalon Studio is basically, as I said, it's a test automation framework which will make your life a lot easier. You'll be able to create test cases, record your test cases, debug, playback, create something called as test suites, and there's a place for you to have all your objects in under one repository. So whenever something changes, what you can do is, let's say this is the password field which I showed. You can go ahead and change this in one place, and wherever you're using these elements, for example, I'm using a sign up name here. So this gets updated. So your maintenance of your test scripts would reduce a lot. So let me just give you. I'll just run this first without a smart wait. Then I will change the properties and I'll run it again. I see there is a question or a comment. Can we download the code examples? Yes, Katalon Studio basically gives you, when you download the Katalon Studio, there are these sample repositories which are available. So you can go to file, go to sample projects. So there are these various projects which are available, which comes inbuilt, or you can download them, have a look at them. It will be on a generic platform. So you can change the URLs and other things, and you can work around it. So this has passed, and what I'll do right now is I'll go to the password field. Let me just close others. I'll go to password. I'll just change this. This might take time for the tests to run because it'll try to find this password field even though when it's changed, it will try to find it with respect to different custom X paths with which is already saved with it. So let's say I'll just run this one test case. So this might take time, but your test would pass. It wouldn't fail. So I open this. It's trying to find all the elements. It's trying to find the password, and that's why it's taking a bit of time. It's not able to find this. But with Katalon Studio's self-healing feature, it will try to find this password element with respect to other objects in the page, and your tests will continue without any problem. So if you had a Selenium test cases running, this would fail. The person should go and fix those test cases and all that. So that will be a problem for running. So you can see that it says, okay, object repository, this password _1 is the new, the proposed locator is password. You can go ahead and have a look at the screenshot. So this is, it will also give you an insight of what object might be missing. And you can basically approve or discard here. So it's as simple as few button clicks to update your test cases. Can we address the questions at a later point of time? Let's do that at a later point of time. I just wanted to show you this one of the nice feature to have. And Katalon Studio also provides, let's say you want to run an API test, you can add that API test by adding the objects in your object repository. For example, there's a REST endpoint with some URL. You will be able to run this endpoint and use this in your test case. For example, I'll give you a small example of let's say appointment confirmation, and you want to check that through the API as well as UI. You can add these API objects and add them in your, let's say once you've done your test, you want to do an API call, you can add web service keyword and call, sorry, not web service keyword. I think I added a different one. I'll do a web service keyword. I'll say send request and verify, and drag and drop the object which you created. So this will basically make a QA engineer's life a lot easier. It would have taken for me to build a test framework like this on and off. It would have taken about a good 4 to 5 days, and to add the test case probably another 6 to 7 hours. But the same set of test cases I added in Katalon Studio within 10 to 15 minutes, and I've also organized my my page object which I'm using for my test execution. So it makes you can as well see how easy it is for you to create the test cases. You can record your test cases here. Let's say I'll just do a small example of a record and playback. I'll name it as test 005 _ webinar. May, are we good with time? How much time do we have?
You have plenty of time. Take your time.
Sweet. All right. I'll also add a tag called a sanity. Let's say you want to run these test cases on a sanity build. You want to run it on a regression build. You can add multiple tags here, and you can run these test cases as a test suite, so to say, as well. So let me just record and play back one example. I'll close the window here. The demo jitters. I think it's running some recorded step. Let me close and open the, no, it was behind the window, sorry. So you're able to see the web recorder?
Yes.
So here is where you give your application under test, the URL for it. And you can go ahead and start recording it with any browsers, but we recommend to do it on the Chrome browser. And let's say when you expand, you'll also see whatever the actions you're performing here. For example, let's say I want to enter my name as Avinash. I'll enter my work mail as avinash.ranganatha at katalon.com. And I'll just enter some password. You can see when you're entering the password, it's automatically encrypted. So these are some of the features which Katalon Studio provides, so that when you're uploading the script to your GitHub repository, your passwords are not exposed. And at any point of time, let's assume you want to add a verification point. It's as simple as right clicking on the element and going and checking if the element is present, or going and verifying if the element text is a weak password. So it's very simple. But if I had to do this in my open source framework, I'll have to go define those objects first. For example, I need to define the weak password. I need to define the password, and this is a whole lot of work as a QA engineer for development. And I added a verification point. And again, here, if I have to add the same verification point, I need to write a method to check if some element is displayed, or to check or to get the password text. There's a lot of coding involved if you're working with a framework like Selenium. And same thing on Katalon Studio was pretty simple. You can also have a look at the captured objects which you've interacted with, go change the name, have a look at the properties, attributes, XPath, the locator property which is there, and you can also do something like a highlight to check if it's there or not. So this will make test case generation easier. So once, let's say you created your test case, I didn't save this test case, but yeah, once it's saved, you will have your test case look something like this. There's open browser, navigate to URL, set text, so on and so forth. So you'll have a nice nice looking view of your test case, and also if you jump to the script mode, you can see the same thing happening on the keyword on the manual mode. You'll also be able to change and manipulate these scripts by adding a web service keyword. There's the same thing you can do with the mobile automation. So you can have in one test case multiple platforms covered. So it's as simple as that. But if you have to do this in Selenium, it will take you a whole lot of time. And what else do I want to cover here? May, can you share your screen, or did I leave something out here?
I think, well, I do have a few questions as someone who is who's not technical. So essentially, right now you've had, as you know, it's apparent that you've had a lot of experience working, with test automations and test automation tools. So how would you deal with test maintenance in the past? Like, for instance, how would you maintain infrastructures, and what were some of the common challenges that you would run into during your past experience?
When you say maintenance, I think you brought up a pretty good point. Let's say I want to execute the same set of test cases on different browsers, different platforms. It's pretty easy to do it in Katalon Studio, where you can run it on Firefox. But if I have to do that on my other framework, I have to have libraries. I need to go edit those libraries to execute them on a different browser. So it would basically become a pain in the pain in the wrong place. But when it comes to Katalon Studio, it's pretty simple. You can just go change the browser, change the there's a way for you to execute your tests on a headless mode, or on your third-party cloud execution platforms like Source Labs, Browser Stack, and recently Katalon Studio has also introduced a cloud execution platform called as Test Cloud. So you'll be able to execute these tests on the cloud environment as well. So which will basically give you a lot of leverage a lot of flexibility to run your tests on different platforms as well. Let's say you want to execute the same set of test cases on, let me just show that to you. I'm running, let's say, a test suite collection is basically a bunch of test cases grouped together. For example, I created a tag before. Let's say I just want to filter out all the sanity tests, do a preview. You see that the sanity test was pulled here. And once you do this, you can execute them on test cloud environment with just 1 or 2 clicks, and you can run it against multiple browsers. So infrastructure wise, you do not have to worry about where you're going to run. Let's say I want to run the same test case across different browser version. This is possible. Can you give me 1 second? I just need to. So you'll be able to execute the same set of test cases across different browser versions as well. So you don't, when you're doing this with an open source framework like this, you need to set up a Selenium grid and other things to manage your browser versions. So that is there. That's how I basically deal with this. So when I have a look at how I spent my time previously, I would basically, for the love of coding, I used to go write my own libraries or integrate with different libraries which are already there. I would spend about 50 to 60% of my time in that, and the rest of the time maintaining or working with the team and help them in their maintenance. But all of those effort, I would say, is basically saved right now. As a QA architect, I can also focus on DevOps and manage the DevOps, the pipeline. I can have have the test cases which I have created, create test collections like this, and have them run on different platforms, different browsers. So there's this whole lot of possibility with the commercial tool, which will basically, you're paying, I think, about $1,200 for the studio. But when you have a look at long term, and let's say initially you have 500 test cases and you're running it on a day-to-day basis, that will basically save a lot of time. You'll save time on maintenance, you'll save time on infrastructure, worrying about the infrastructure, or configuring your Appium node in case of mobile automation. Right now my time is being spent mostly on managing how my organization is doing. So this is basically another platform that Katalon Studio has come up with, which is pretty niche in the market. It's one of the few platforms which will give you a bird's eye view of all your projects. So you can have multiple projects, configured there, and I can dig deep down into the test cases level and have a look at your flaky tests, your slowest test. So I can focus more on managing this to get more return on investment of my time as well as organization's time. I think that was a long answer for your short questions right there.
It's okay. It's always good to learn from you, Avinash. So essentially, so right now for test ops, do you think that we can do maybe like a quick demo on the function of test ops for the participants on the call today?
Yes, I think I can do that. So this is, I have a demo site as well. Let me just open it on another window. Here with Katalon test ops, it's basically a test orchestration platform, which will give you a bird's eye view of how your test cases have been running over a period of time, as well as you can integrate this with your Jira environment and pull all the releases from Jira. There's a test management as well, where all your test suite which you have created and the test case which you have created is visible here. And you can go ahead and create your own test suites in order to, let's say there's a login scenario test suite, you can go ahead and create your own test suite or have a look at how this test suite is designed. So from a management perspective, it will give you automation health index, I would say, of your test execution, and also release readiness and other things. But when it comes to a QA engineer, you can go ahead and have a look at why the test cases are failing. You can have a look at the platform coverage, have a look at the flaky test cases. When I say flaky test cases, it's basically the most unreliable test cases. So it will show you a history, a percentage of flakiness, stale test cases which have not been run over a period of time. So you can have a look at these test cases, remove them, or add them to your existing test suites. And also when it comes to configuration, not only Katalon test cases, you can have them integrated with your unit test cases as well, like you have Jasmine, you have Mocha. So for a development team as well, if they have Jasmine test cases or Mocha test cases or any JUnit based test cases, can be integrated with test ops. And another nice thing is Katalon Studio also provides a platform to run and schedule your test cases on Test Cloud or on a local test environment. So let's say I'll name this as a sanity run April release. For April release, I want to do a sanity run on one of the projects where you'll also be able to upload your script repository to test ops. And once that is done, all your test suite and test suite collection which you have created will be available here, and you can go ahead and schedule it till, let's say, second week of April for the release 2, and have it run on a day-to-day basis on the environments which I want. For example, I want to run it on Chrome 97, Chrome 96, Chrome 95, Edge 97. So there's a whole lot of possibilities here for a DevOps engineer. It will also make his life easier. As you can see, you don't have to come up with an YML file, write a YML file, add a cron job to run it on different time. So you can do this, you can schedule it, and it will run on the cloud environment. Same thing, you can do it with a local test environment where you can set up your test machines. I have though I'm running it on my Windows machine, I have a Mac test machine, and I can run the same test cases on that machine as well. So possibilities of having a DevOps pipeline is basically it's made a lot easier. And once your test cases are completed, you'll be able to see them in the reports. So as a QA engineer or a QA manager, I would be mostly interested in how my test cases are being run, and run frequency, on what platforms it has run. So there are a lot of these things. And also you can basically go ahead and create your defects after enabling your Jira integration directly from the failed test case. So you see that this has, over a period of time, it will also give you the kind of performance your test cases has done. And whenever there's a failed test case, you can go ahead and mark it as passed if you have done it on yourself, or if you have manually done it, or you can go ahead and create a Jira defect. And also whatever that stack trace in stack trace and logs and other things will be available here. And also in case of failed test cases, you'll also have screenshots as well. You see there's a screenshot of why the test case has failed. So you'll know, let's say it's trying to access this as, trying to see this as off. So if it is on, the screenshot taken, and you can also have the screen recording as well. So this will basically show your test case, how it has run as well. So it's a nice thing to have if you are If you're working with a lot of test cases and you'd like to know why your test case has failed, where it has failed, debug them, fix them, and you can do a lot of things with a platform like this. I think it's not in the right format, but yeah, you have a nice video recording of the failed test case as well. May you want to add anything, or should we have a look at Q&A? I think we have about 20 minutes left.
I think the last thing I do want to elaborate on, and I would love to have your your sharing on, is that where would the entire product suite of Katalon Studio would fit within the continuous delivery / continuous release cycle of the whole process of the software development process. I do have a slide here that do provide some visuals on that. Do you want to go?
Yeah, let me just stop sharing the screen.
Yes. Are you able to see my screen? Avinash?
Sorry?
Are you able
yes,
to?
I'm able to. Yes, I'm able to see your screen. Yes.
So would you say that we are in the middle of the test authoring section, or at least the beginning stages of the entire software development lifecycle, and then until before the actual production stage? Would you say that?
I would say that, and also I would like to add, with test ops, few of your unit test cases and CI/CD build is taken care of. You'll be able to add unit test cases which has a JUnit kind of a reporting that can be integrated with the test ops, but not developed. But other things like authoring new test cases, provisioning the environments, as I've showed you, scheduling, executing, repairing, all those things are basically provided by Katalon Studio. And in the future, Katalon Studio also has, as I said, as I showed you, a test cloud. We are also planning to integrate mobile device farm, so to say. Physical devices will be available for you to execute your mobile test cases.
Very exciting. So right now, I think we do have time to get started with the Q&A section, but I think another thing that would be really helpful for everyone on the call today is that because of the reach of how the reach that the Katalon Studio product suite has to various stages of the software development lifecycle. That's why we're able to help a lot of companies, to further expand the test automation effort, and by far short their release cycles and help them reach their business goals. So it's just a fact that I like to share with everyone, is that when you go onto a website, you'll be able to see that, countless of success stories about how Katalon has been able to help testing teams across the world. Right now, I think we have worked with around 100,000 companies so far, and the list. And right now, I don't even know the number of users that we have, but I'm pretty sure it's within the hundreds of thousands or even more at this point. So, it's going to be a very exciting journey ahead for us.
That's correct. I think we have thriving community, and a lot of the answers would be there in our forum as well as in Stack Overflow. I've seen really good answers there. We also have our own store, Katalon store. We also encourage our users to come up with their own plugins, which is pretty easy to do. So there's a whole lot of possibility as test coverage from end-to-end lifecycle is available in Katalon platform right now.
Yes. So yeah, it's a very exciting time for you and I to be.
Yes. But yeah, as I said in the beginning, I kind of have changed my view on commercial tools. Because when I started out in 2005, there were not many commercial tools available in the market. One was the UFT, which was called QTP back in the day, and it didn't have all these features like self-healing and infrastructure support. It was just mostly record playback and stuff like that. Even till last couple of years, If you had asked me, I would say, okay, no, I don't want to spend $1,000 on something which I can do it for free on my own. But when I have a look at all the time, looking back for the time I've spent on script maintenance, I had this belief, okay, no automation tool can be as smart as a human, which is of course is true, but it can come close to being human with these smart technologies which are right now being built on Catalan Studio and even on other commercial tools. So I would request everyone to give it a try. It's actually free. There's a commercial, apart from the commercial product, we also have a free version where you'll be able to develop and execute a test on a local machine. But to execute them, you would need a different license. But I would say $1,200 per license is the worth that you're paying for the quality, cost of quality. Let's say you have a bug which was not caught by the automation, and there's a release tomorrow, day after. You would spend a whole lot more in fixing the test cases. You'd spend a whole lot time. Time is basically money. You'd spend more time in fixing those test cases rather than have a smart way of smart framework which will do your test automation for you.
Yes.
And yes, I think let's get started with question and answers. I think I've answered a few. One I see is I had issues with Angular dynamic field example. Does change to 1. How does Katalon Studio version handle that? I had this issue previously version that ended up in unable. Okay, so what I recommend you to do is when you have this registration underscore text, you can basically write something like contains registration, which you need to do it on your own. Or when you have these attributes, when you're recording the object, there are these attributes which are available. You can execute. You can go ahead and you yourself give a smart identification. Otherwise, the self-healing feature will kick in, but which is not available on the free version, of course. So self-healing will kick in, and it'll try to find this registration text. Hope that has answered Maximo's question.
Yes.
Next one is does Katalon support parallel execution on Sauce Labs concurrent VMs? Yes, Katalon Studio basically supports parallel execution, but the thing is you would need multiple runtime engine licenses in order to execute them.
So I think we missed a question from Paulo Geronimo. If I have a web application test scripts on Katalon, can I also run that web test scripts on mobile? We should be able to do.
Yes. The default browser opens up and it will get updated. There is a question by Bindya whether it can be integrated in TFS. As of now, TFS we are not integrating, but we encourage you to upgrade to Azure DevOps. There's a flawless integration between Azure DevOps and Katalon Studio. Can we use Katalon for API test? Of course. I think I showed that in the demo. Katalon Studio supports both REST as well as SOAP endpoints. You can record. It basically looks similar to Postman, and whatever the feature is available in Postman is available in Katalon Studio. And also you can work around, you can script your way around it.
So another thing to add on to Avinash's question as well is that when you go on to our YouTube channel, there will be tutorials on how to guide users through the process of starting your API testing processes. So definitely take a look at our YouTube channel and be well on your way with API testing.
That's correct.
There's another question, and I don't think it fits to the scope of this webinar yet, but I think it's just good for us to pick up brains at it. So from Terry, how can I convert easily Selenium projects into Katalon Studio project, and is it necessary to get a license to do that?
For exporting Selenium projects from Java, you need to have the jar files, and there's a way to import the libraries to Katalon Studio, and you'll be able to use the test cases which you've done in in Selenium to Katalon Studio. About the licenses, I'll have to check on that. If you're able to do that with the free version or not, I'll check on that part.
And another thing is that so when you get started, when you sign up for a Katalon account with your email, you will always have access to our 30-day trial. And, please use that as an opportunity for you to, play around with it, start a small POC on how you would import your Selenium projects into Account Studio. And with the license, you can always have access to our dedicated support channel if anything, happens during your POC. So definitely get the license.
Yeah. And another license by Nishta, can we integrate databases with Katalon Studio to perform UI? Yes. Katalon Studio basically provides, I think, for free version, there are 4 types of databases: Postgre, MySQL, 2-3 different things. But for other databases, you'll need a license for Katalon Studio. You can basically pull the data from either any of these databases, or you have your external Excel file or CSV, or you can manage the data internally in Katalon Studio. You can create a Excel file like rows and columns, and you can work around that. I think that has answered. Next thing is, can we integrate Katalon with Lambda test? I like to run parallel test, which will create testing parallelly into browsers. How can that be done? I think Lambda test should be possible. Lambda test is correct me if I'm wrong, Nahin. It's a cloud execution environment, right? You can just answer that or put it in the chat. I'll get back to you on that. Can we convert existing Selenium project? Yeah, it is easy to convert that. Next one by Paul is there a place for both runtime engine and test ops? Do they serve different needs? Yes, Katalon runtime engine, what it basically does is it will convert your Katalon tests into your language which Selenium can read and execute. So you will need Katalon runtime engine and test ops. They both have different purposes. Runtime engine basically executes your test cases which is running, which you have designed using Katalon Studio. Test ops is more of a test management and orchestration platform. How long is the trial version? It is 30 days, right?
Yes, 30 days.
Yes. When integrating with Azure DevOps, is it possible to execute test suite collection on pipelines? Yes, it is possible. There are in our documentation, we have sample projects which is hosted on Azure DevOps as well as GitHub. So this is also possible. Is it possible to import Selenium? I think I answered that. I think one of the most important questions which is coming up is how do you import Selenium projects to Katalon? So you can basically create a jar file of your project, and you can have the libraries imported to Katalon. Using Katalon, there's another anonymous question. Using Katalon to create feature files, include steps, is it a good method? Feature files and include is a BDD form of standard. I would say it's actually a really good method. It's a cool method of writing your test cases, so that you can know what step you're performing. And under the step, if you also have a page object model kind of a definition, you can basically do wonders with it. I would say, and whatever you would want in English, you can write, and that can be a part of your Jira project. It can be a part of your requirement. It basically provides two things. One is it's a documentation for your team, how test cases are running, as well as it's an input for your test automation tool. Not only Katalon, it's also it's one of the standard which is being followed by, I think, about 15 to 20% of the market right now. This is according to the state of the art survey, of course. Any other questions? I think I covered most of it. I think there are questions on the chat box as well.
So I just want to add to something to Paul's questions about is it possible to import Selenium projects into Katalon tool? Actually, again, on our YouTube channel, there is a different separate webinar just for that topic, also hosted by me a year ago. So definitely go onto our YouTube channel and search for that webinar. And then we will also have demos and we will also have suggestions for you to get started with that as well. So I don't know if you already addressed these questions, Avinash. So from Amit, is there any document available for from Katalon Studio to create a POC and for the learning progress to enhance knowledge in Katalon Studio? I think I can answer it.
I think we have, we have an academy, right? Yeah.
Yeah, so right now, when it comes to setting up your POC, so one thing I would suggest our clients do is have that internal discussion with your team, figure out what the main workflows you want to see happening with Katalon Studio, let us know, and then we will see what we can do on our end. And another option is that we have a free training program called the Katalon Academy. Within that program, you'll be able to see different courses for you to take when it comes to web testing, API testing, and desktop testing as well, I think. And also, again, our YouTube channel is also a really good place for you to find resources on how to get started with not just Katalon, but also with test automation as well. I think we have 5 minutes left, so I'm going to pick out maybe 2 more questions. Is that okay with you, Avinash?
Yeah, I think we have 5 more minutes.
Yeah.
I saw documentation about POC. I think that you answered that question. Integration with technology used in Katalon to achieve high performance and maintenance. I'm sorry, was it a question or a comment?
I think that's a question. So what do we do what technology should we integrate with Katalon to achieve high performance for test automation and still maintain efficiency and stability of the scripts?
Katalon is basically built on, you can use Groovy scripting for now, but by the end of Q3, we are also planning to support Java scripting as a technology. So you can write your test scripts on either Groovy or Java. We also have plans to integrate it with Python and other scripting languages, which will make a developer's life a lot more easier. So you can be on a lookout for our future enhancements, so to say. And I think there are a few questions from the comment section.
So I think this is the question that is really applicable to what we talk about, which is the reusable test case artifacts. So from Deval, please let me know if my pronunciation is correct. Can we create reusable method and use it in a data-driven test cases?
Yes. If you can allow for sharing my screen, I'll just show how you do data-driven test cases.
Yes.
So what you have is, let's say you created your test case. Where is Katalon Studio? There it is. So let's say you created your test case and imported the data in our data files. This is where you basically import the data from an external source, that is Excel or CSV or external database. So once you do that, what you need to do is create something called as a test suite. I think this is basically a collection of test cases. So I've already created the test suite, and I can basically go ahead and map the data which is coming in from the database, from the data file, with the variable which I've declared in the test case. So that's how you basically perform the test case. And when I run this, it will basically run multiple times for a different set of data. Same test case will run against different set of data.
Okay, that was a last question, and that has wrapped up our webinar for today. Once again, thank you so much for everyone. Thank you so much, Avinash, for your sharing and your demos. Again, I always say this, it's always good to learn from you so that I can also improve myself as well. And participants on the call, thank you so much for joining the webinar with us. If you are interested in learning more, please do leave your information behind. And yeah, let's catch up afterwards.
I'd like to just say one last thing, May. Yes. As I said, as a QA engineer, you always have this one phrase which will say, okay, it's working in my test machine. In my machine, it's working. In my machine, it's working. So we need to avoid that as a QA engineer. So much so that these test automation tools, which you're paying the premium, would basically bring in an ROI. So I don't want to listen to say, okay, why is it passing on my machine? I actually have had such kind of conversation Why, if it's passing in your machine, why isn't it passing on the test machine or a test environment or whatever it is? So these are some of the as a QA engineer I want to avoid, and that's where tools like Katalon Studio will fit right in to the needs. Thank you so much for listening, and thank you, May, for organizing this. And hopefully we've answered almost all your questions. Otherwise, you can always get in touch with us through contact us page on Katalon Studio. Thanks, May.
Thanks so much, Avinash. Thanks so much, everyone. Look forward to seeing more of your questions coming for us. Thank you.